Okay, this video covers reviews how to build your own strong verb form of a Hebrew verb, that is. And this is in the imperfect state. There's 5 videos on how to build in the perfect state, and you can look at those yourself. But this one is so much easier once you look at it that it's really, I'm just doing this in one video. I already filled it out. I have the Kof, Tet, Lamed. That's the Sephardic pronunciation. And again, you can get these charts, which I recommend you get these and place them somewhere conspicuous in your Sunday school room or classroom or wherever you can do your work for your Hebrew studies. And again, I'll be scanning in these actual sheets we used in school and place them into a PDF format so you can use that. And then, of course, the pattern I'll show you, for example, is what we already know is, I put this in blue, that's a simple stem, simple, active, and passive. Intensive's red, and it's active, simple, intensive, active, intensive, passive. And then you have the reflexive. Now the reflexive will be the odd one in all of this. So of the 7 stems, that's the odd. But the only thing is you have this introduction here of tav, that's it. Just place that there, and that comes from the word hith here. So that being accepted, all of the 7 of these prior to punctuation look exactly alike. And then you have your causal, active, and passive. So let's just use this little square for a minute. And I'll just block out that, block out that tav for just the example, and then we're done, because this is so repetitive and redundant that you really couldn't miss it. So to pronounce it, to remember the ending or the prefix and the suffix, the prefix we would just say yik, 3 ticks and an ick, and then yik, 3 ticks and nick. We're talking about the noon and the kof, and then of course the aleph and the kof ik, the yod and the kof meaning yik. So that's how we did it. So that's just the way we remember it. It's very simple. You go yik, 3 ticks and an ick, yik, 3 ticks and an ick, yik, 3 ticks and an ick, all the way down, yik, 3 ticks and a nick, all the way down. That's the difference between your singular and plural. Now, the second feminine has the yod all the way across. So there's a pattern there. So again, you can see this before we punctuate it. All this is the same. So when you write your 3 letters, you write Kof, Tet, Lamed over and over and over and over and over. You get rather, you reinforce your learning. You become very good at writing that, repeating that. So when you go then and fill out yik, 3 ticks and an ick, so you write your yod, tav, aleph, yod, tav, noon, you'll repeat it over and over and over. So all the prefixes, and to this point, they all look exactly alike. And then you notice on the plural form, you have these endings, and they're all the same. We would pronounce it una. So it repeats, una. That's really too easy to remember, especially since the pattern that I'm showing you is that they prior to punctuation. Again, as our professor, Dr. Randy Murray, said, do not let what you don't know throw you from what you do. So in my mind, it was like peeling an onion. So I would peel back, let's say, the vowel pointings. Let's just take that off. And then I started noticing that there was a lot I knew. And just as you, when you study this, you'll find out, well, you could write the titles to each of these stems. You could make this chart. I mean, I just did it, and it's been, 1989, 1990, things like that long ago when I was first introduced to these things. Matter of fact, yeah, this chart has a date on it, 1990. So I have things all the way back. That'd be 30 years ago. Well, how can you forget what we already know? If you've been studying anything about language at all, we know about conjugation. We know about declining nouns, conjugating verbs. This is all English here. And then when you study the alphabet and you write it in the block form, just use the same lines in a square. Again, this is iterative practice. It'll reinforce your learning. Then you go and punctuate, because it's the punctuation that will differentiate these. But the good news for me, especially when at one time I was working 7 days a week and in seminary 4 days, and the place I was working, this large factory out here called Remington Outdoor now, you know, you had machines and hundreds of variables and thousands of things moving and going on, and people and different floors and different steps and processes. And this would be the only time, I mean, my homework was done while I was at work. There was no time outside of, so between overtime work and full-time school, patterns were an answer to a prayer, if you will. If you really wanted to be efficient and wanted to learn how to learn, then this pattern is really good. So it's not necessary for 5 videos. This is self-evident, so stop your video, make a screenshot. Let me get out of the way, and then do your work and see the pattern and notice it for yourself. And then, like I said, enjoy this, because if you do the work on the first one in the perfect state, and you do that work and you learn how to do that, and you're like, ooh, wait a minute, ooh, Tim 10, new, and then you remember how to do it, and you're like, oh, okay, and then you notice the noon in your nifal, and it'll start working out, and you notice your simple stem, your intensive stems, your causal stems. You notice active, passive, reflexive being the only odd one that's in the intensive set, and then you notice active, well, here, by the time you get to this one, I mean, you're ready for this chart. So that's all we'll do on this one. This is enough. It's enough for those of you who are working on it. So if you're not actually working on this and you just want, well, if you have questions about a text in the Bible, that's totally different. That's hermeneutics and apologetics, and that's just good hard work, and we can diagram sentences. But this is actually, if those of you who are intending to study biblical Hebrew, and again, pronunciation 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, to me, the idea of being able to see the patterns, recognize the inflectional morphemes, noticing these different forms, and what are they prompting us to understand. So have a blessed day and enjoy this chart.